Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a subject to you that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and that is complex academic subjects in a few minutes, with a special emphasis on why sometimes they are circular and not entirely productive or helpful, if you ask me. So, what do I mean by complex academic subjects? Well, a large part of school, not just upper division school, college classes, and I'm no graduate of college, but I have been to college, taken quite a few classes without a particular major. I mean, I had a major, I had to, but this isn't really about me and my education. But the idea that many of the subjects are, I hate to say it, but they're mostly terminology and techniques. I would challenge anybody to prove me wrong on this point, that the vast majority of education, modern education, including college and especially college, is about terminology and techniques, which happen to springboard onto and off of other terminology and techniques. So I'm going to dive into that just real quick. There are techniques, like I just said, that help us analyze data, for example, to do science, to create things, to, all the various classes and disciplines there are in college. There's tons of them, obviously, but none of them, not a single one of them, is without terminology and techniques. And I think once you start thinking about it this way, it becomes a little cringy, a little bit embarrassing how obsessed all these classes seem to be with those two things. And the things you learn in upper division seem to be, like I said, springboards onto or off of other terminology and techniques. And I'm wondering, how far down does it go? Okay, so the age-old question is, what's the source of information? I mean, this almost gets religious or spiritual at some point. Where does truth come from? What are all these techniques and terminologies from, and what are they aiming to do ultimately? I mean, how does it benefit people? You could argue it's a toolbox for a vocational set, or an employability background, some kind of skill set. No, not necessarily. Historically, education has been for the purpose of being educated, I would think. That may be obvious, but nowadays it's not so much about that. It's more about readiness for the workplace. Has become much, much more about that, and being able to speak the same language as the people who are already there, to perform the same tasks and techniques. But none of these things really ask or answer the big important questions of why and should we, and where is it all going, and is it really worth it? I would need to get specific to go further into detail about those questions. But if you are in college, or if you've been to college, I would encourage you to think about your classes that you've taken and consider how much of it is all about terminology and technique, because I guarantee you most of it is. And it changed my perspective when I realized that. I realized that what I want to do is different than just learning the dialogue, the words, and the tricks of the trade, so to speak, to get from point A to point B. It's much less about the checkpoints and the destinations than the journey itself for me. Anyway, if you have questions or comments, feel differently or the same, either way, reach out to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Have a great night.